on Rumble. And we are live. Good morning. Hello and welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is about interesting and important events that happen throughout to date throughout the annals of recorded history. I am A.O. Xander. I will be joined by the Golden Loon here shortly. And of course, UVR are you. Thank you so much for coming in. Today is April 25th, Saturday, aka... Wait, no, it's not Saturday. It's Sun's Day. I'm all sorts of confused today. Yes, it's Sun's Day, aka Sunday, May 25th, 2025. And let's get into the history today, shall we? Starting us off in the year 567 BC, Servius Tullius, the king of Rome, celebrated a triumph for his victory over the Etruscans. All right. Moving on up to 240 BC, the first recorded perihelion passage of Halley's Comet, and you have just came in on the perfect time. Remember we were talking about, the seventh recorded, or the whatever recorded perihelion of Halley's Comet?
Yes.
And it was like how long ago, when did we first, start? Here's the answer. 240 BC, the first recorded perihelion passage of Halley's Comet.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's recorded.
Yeah.
That's since we started.
Way before then,
of course. That's when,
man recorded it.
Yeah, that's our first that we know of recording.
Yeah.
And the perihelion, and for those who do not know, is the closest it gets to the sun. I don't know the antihelion or whatever the word for that is, but that's it's closest to the sun. It's a perihelion.
Okay.
So, and we actually have a picture. It's a little small here, but that appears to be on a tapestry.
Oh,
so we have right there on the tapestry.
That's their interpretation of Halley's Comet.
Yeah, well, that's what you see. You see a bright thing in the sky with a tail, and
Yeah.
So, but it could have also been a UFO. Who knows? What else do we got here? 1241, the first attack on the Jewish community of Frankfurt am Main, Germany. Why does this keep happening? The Jews keep getting their teeth kicked in, but not every ass kicking falls out of the sky.
Yeah.
It takes two to tango, but it takes one to start. What keeps happening, and why can't we talk about it?
Good question.
Yep. 1521, the Edict of Worms outlaws Martin Luther and his followers. That's from our primary source here. Right here it says the Diet of Worms ended when Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, issued the Edict of Worms, declaring Martin Luther an outlaw. So that's a little bit more substantial right there. I mean, it's the same thing, but,
Yeah.
Once again, I want to reiterate the importance of using multiple sources. 1571, Pope Pius V formed the Holy League to fight the Ottomans with other Catholic maritime states, including Spain, Venice, Naples, and Sicily. So, this was another, Christians versus Muslims thing.
Yeah.
1622, English merchant ship Tyrol wrecked on the Montebello Islands, northwestern Australia. The first English to land on Australian soil and the country's oldest European shipwreck.
Oh.
So, go figure, in Australia, the first landing is a crash.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the land itself is trying to kill people. It's another world over there. 1644, Ming General Wu Sangui formed an alliance with the invading Manchus and opened the gates of the Great Wall of China at Sankuihan Pass, letting the Manchus through towards the capital of Beijing. Why? Why would he do that? That's so dumb. It's just oh, hello, enemy. Here, let me just open up the gate, roll out the red carpet for you, throw rose petals.
Obviously, he didn't. Maybe turn to their side. Who knows?
Yeah.
He worked a deal. He was going to be king or whatever.
Yeah. And this is one of my absolute favorite nicknames in all of history. 1659, Richard Cromwell resigned as Lord Protector of England following the restoration of the Long Parliament, beginning a second brief period of the Republican government called the Commonwealth of England, earning Cromwell the nickname Tumbledown Dick as a result of his abrupt fall from power. Whenever I hear that name, I just imagine a disembodied male appendage just slinking down a set of stairs, just tumbling down. What's wrong with my brain? Many things. 1660, King Charles II of England landed at Dover Harbor on his way to London during the Restoration. Okay, and from our other source, it says here, Charles II landed at Dover at the invitation of the Convention Parliament, which marked the end of the Cromwell-proclaimed Commonwealth of England, Scotland, and Ireland, and began the restoration of the British monarchy. 1720, the ship Le Grand Saint-Antoine reached Marseille, bringing Europe's last major plague outbreak, killing around 100,000 people.
Ooh.
The last major plague outbreak.
Yeah.
So, And it has to be like the Black Death, the bubonic plague.
It could,
which came from China. You know, same with the Spanish flu came from China. That ravaged Europe. It was like what 1915 when the Spanish flu hit, right at the start of the First World War. You know, so not only were they fighting each other, but they were fighting nature. It's kind of crazy. 1721, John Copson became the United States, or well, what was in America, the first insurance agent. Yeah, gee, what a great thing to do. 1738, a treaty between Pennsylvania and Maryland ended the Conjugular War and with settlement of a boundary dispute and exchange of prisoners. So that's interesting. The colonies were fighting each other. Oh.
Haven't heard of that.
Yeah. 1763, first issue of the Norsk Intelligenssedler, the first regular Norwegian newspaper, going from 1763 all the way up to 1920. That's a pretty long-lasting newspaper there. Yeah. And this is a picture of it. Number 1, something 25, 1763. So that has to be, today's 25th. This was 1763, so that's a first issue right there. 1784, here we go again. Jews were expelled from Warsaw by Marshal Minskink. Why? Why does this keep happening? I reiterate what I asked earlier. 1787, Constitutional Convention opened at Philadelphia, George Washington presiding.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Now, from our other source, it says, after a delay of 11 days, the United States Constitutional Convention formally convened in Philadelphia after a quorum of 7 states was secured. What is a quorum?
That's enough people are there to vote.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Quorum is a minimum number of members of a group necessary to constitute the group at a meeting. In a deliberative assembly, a quorum is necessary to conduct the business of that group. In contrast, a plenum is a meeting of the full body. A body or a meeting or vote of it is quorates if a quorum is present. Okay. 1793, Father Stephen Theodore Baden was the first U.S. Roman Catholic priest ordained. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
1798, United Irishman Rebellion, Battle of Carlisle began. Executions of suspected rebels at Carnew and at Dunlaman Green took place. So, once again, the whole thing with the Troubles and all that stuff, it ain't anything new. It's been going on for literally hundreds of years. And and the Brits just will not let them go. So, 1809, Shikusi, or the Chuquias Revolution, patriot revolt in Chuquiasca, or modern-day Sucura, against the Spanish Empire, sparking the Latin American Wars of Independence. All right, free Mexico and all that stuff. 1810, in the May Revolution, citizens of Buenos Aires expelled the Spanish Viceroy Cisneros during Semana de Mayo. From our other source, it says, May Revolution, citizens of Buenos Aires expelled Viceroy Balthazar Hidalgo de Caceres during the May week, starting the Argentine War of Independence. We have quite a bit of
Cinco de Mayo comes from, I guess.
No, it's not. It's the 25th, not the 5th.
Oh, that's right.
Cinco de Mayo is
5th of May.
Yes, 20 days ago, which, if I remember my
Go ahead.
If I remember my history correctly, why Mexico celebrates that, it has something to do with France. They expelled France to gain independence. Now remember,
their Independence Day. That's all I know.
No, remember, Spain came in and did what they did, against the Aztecs, Mayas, and Incas, Mesoamericans, and all that stuff. And then that's why Mexico and a lot of places speaks, Spanish, Espanol, and why they're so Catholic predominantly and all that stuff. But at some point, France came in and took it from Spain. And don't forget, France had the whole, what became the Louisiana Purchase. They had all that, too.
Yeah.
But the Mexicans got France out or something. That's why they celebrate Cinco de Mayo. It's their version of how we kick the Brits out, they kick the French out.
Ah.
So, essentially.
I thought it was always Spain.
No.
How about that?
I think France took it from Spain, and then the Mexicans took it for themselves.
Yeah.
Moving on up to 1837, the Patriots of Lower Canada and Quebec rebelled against the British for freedom. And we have a lot of revolutions going on.
Yeah.
1842, Christian Doppler presented his idea, now known as the Doppler effect. Through the changing colors of binary stars to the Royal Bohemian Society in Prague. Yeah, do you want to tell a quick story about something that...
Oh, what is it?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Yeah, he went to a Halloween party as the Doppler effect.
Yeah.
The sound waves.
Yeah.
All striped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he was going around. That's how he explained it to people. And they just looked at him like he's crazy.
Well, he is.
He is. He's
Yeah.
a little nuts.
Yeah. I understood him though. So.
Yeah, I know you did immediately.
Actually, let's see if I can find that scene really quick. Big Bang Theory Doppler effect. Just for S's and G's. Here we go.
We go to the park.
I don't care if anybody gets it. I'm going as the Doppler effect.
No, it's not.
If I have to, I can demonstrate. Meow.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. What else do we got here? 1844, the first telegraph news dispatch was published in Baltimore Patriot. Now, if I'm reading that correctly, that's the first time they used telegraphs to push news to news organizations to turn it into print. Like, because I remember back when I was doing those radio classes in college.
Oh yeah.
There's that official source. It was a subscription-based service, but it was breaking news things. And then you took that raw news stuff, and we put it into radio.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you put yeah.
Yeah. But it was as raw as breaking as you can get. People are there, and then they make the thing, and they put it in that thing, and then it's
singing the thing.
Huh? Yeah. I don't know how to explain it, but it was really interesting. So if I had the money, I would have made myself a subscription, and added that into the news show and all that stuff. Like actual, that's legitimate correspondence. 1861, John Merriman was arrested and imprisoned but not charged during the U.S. Civil War. Suspension of writ of habeas corpus. Thank you, Lincoln. The case later sparked partial Supreme Court decision against suspension of writ on grounds it was illegally enacted. Congress later enshrined the writ, making the decision moot. And from our other source, it says John Merriman was arrested under suspension of writ of habeas corpus. It later sparked a Supreme Court decision protecting writ. And
but Congress then votes it. Then it doesn't matter.
Well, Lincoln had suspended habeas corpus because of the Civil War.
Yeah.
He wanted to prosecute Southerners a lot faster or something as punishment or whatever. So, I mean, I don't think that was a good decision. You don't suspend habeas corpus.
Yeah. But Congress did, and then that made it illegal.
Well, no, Lincoln did.
Yeah, but then the court said no, and then Congress did suspend it.
Okay. 1868, Australian Aboriginal Cricket Tour of England began versus Surrey Gentlemen.
Cricket.
I'm getting you every day. You thought you were out of the woods yesterday.
Yeah, I thought I had a free run.
Yeah. 1876, the first tie in National League history. Athletics and Louisville 2-2 in 14. That's pretty cool.
Huh.
Yeah. 1878, W.S. Gilbert and Arthur Sullivan's comic opera HMS Pinafore opened/premiered at the Opera Comique in London, their first international success. And actually, here it is, the HMS Pinafore. This is like a poster for it or something. 1887, gas lamp at Paris Opera caught fire. 200 people died. That happened. So, yeah. 1895, Oscar Wilde was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment for gross indecency. Now, that's what it said here. Now, that's not it. 1895, here it is. Now, here's the thing. 1895, from our other source, playwright, poet, and novelist Oscar Wilde was convicted of, quote, committing acts of gross indecency with other male persons, end quote, and sentenced to serve 2 years in prison. You'd think that this being a leftist source, our primary source, they would include that part and be like, oh, look at all the subjugation, the gay people were getting, cry, cry, cry. So, why not use this to push their agenda? That's kind of weird. 1895 as well, the Republic of Formosa was formed with Tang Ching Sung as the president. However, our other source states it is Tang Jim Sung, not Ching Sung. So which one is it?
Don't know. Don't care.
Well, I kind of do. It's needed. Like, maybe they're both correct, but like one was a royal name and the other was, a real name. Like, how all these public figures have different names and all that stuff. So.
But Formosa is now, what do you call it? The island out there.
Taiwan.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just guessed. Literally just guessed. Oh, okay. 1900, retired London fire master Erie Messay Shaw, at the age of 70, reputedly became the oldest gold medalist in the Olympics for sailing, although this is disputed. But that's still pretty cool.
The gold medal's disputed or the age?
I think the age.
Okay.
I don't know, but it just says
They
disputed.
left it hanging.
Yeah.
Should have been more specific.
Yeah. Well, that's why we do the show. Like, if anybody can go down that rabbit hole, let us know in the comments section. That'd be great. 1906, after 20 straight wins, Boston Pilgrims lost to the Chicago White Sox 3-0.
Boston Pilgrims.
Yeah. 1914, British House of Commons passed the Irish Home Rule Bill. Okay. From our other source, it says the House of Commons of the United Kingdom passed the Home Rule Bill for devolution in Ireland. So what does that mean?
Devolution?
Like devolution.
Bill for devolution.
What does devolution mean?
I don't know.
Like
Bill of Rule.
Devolution is the statutory delegation of powers from the central government of a sovereign state to govern at a substantial level, such as a regional or local level. It is a form of administrative deorganization. Devolved territories have the power to make legislation relevant to the area. Okay, so it's kind of like a little bit of self-governance, it sounds like.
So, devolution looks like I don't know.
Well,
I was going to say devolve, but
yeah. Well, I think devolving of the power over them to give them more autonomy.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
1915, a British cabinet meeting at 10 Downing Street on the failure of the Dardanelles offensive sacked Lord Kitchener as head of munitions and Winston Churchill as Lord of the Admiralty. Winston Churchill was, mucking about in World War I.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Oh, yeah. I knew that. I was just adding that for the viewers.
Yeah.
Speaking of viewers, do we have any comments yet? None yet that I can see. 1919, Casey Stengel released a sparrow from under his baseball cap, and that's what we have right here. This is a photo of it.
I didn't realize Casey Stengel was around in 1919.
Yeah, but he looks old then. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
But you can see the bird, flying.
Yeah.
That's a wild stunt right there.
He wasn't that old in 1919.
He looks old.
He sure does.
Yeah.
Something's weird.
Maybe this was a recreation photo?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
1919, he had to be a young man.
He didn't look young.
Put up, just for hee-haws, birthday of Casey Stengel.
Casey Stengel. Let's look him up here really quick. 1890. So by 1919, he's already 29.
29, yeah.
Yeah, but he looked old.
Yeah.
Maybe people just got older quicker back then. No. But speaking of baseball, in 1922, Babe Ruth was suspended for 1 day and fined $200 for throwing dirt on an umpire. That's just rude. Why are you...
Yeah. Mad at him. He thought it was a bad call, obviously.
You don't throw dirt on people. That's just rude.
Well, now it's common to kick dirt at the...
Yeah.
They don't throw it at them. They just kick dirt...
That's still uncouth.
...towards the... when they're arguing with them, they try to push dirt over. It's a symbol.
That's so ridiculous.
Then you get booted. You do that, you get booted out of the game.
Yeah, you should. Because you're booting dirt. Now you're getting booted, you dirt. No. 1925, the Scopes trial. John T. Scopes was indicted for teaching human evolution in Tennessee. Yep. Yeah, creationism, Christianity and all that stuff. 1926, Shalom Schwarzbard assassinated Simon Petillier, the head of the Paris-based government in exile of the Ukrainian People's Republic. That sounds confusing, so let me read this part. He was the head of the government of the Ukrainian People's Republic, which was in government in exile in Paris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. And thankfully our other source wrote it this way. So, but ain't that a kick in the teeth? You're already in exile, and then you get shot. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
1927, Henry Ford announced that he is ending production of the Model T Ford.
Oh.
Yep.
What year again?
27. 1927.
That was around a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1932, Goofy, aka Dippy Dog, first appeared in Mickey's Review by Walt Disney.
So,
right here.
Pluto was originally Dippy Dog?
No, Goofy.
Goofy, I mean, not Pluto.
Yeah.
Goofy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
How about that? I didn't know that.
And he's always had that hat. No.
Yeah.
Although it changed from plaid to green at some point.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah. 1935, Babe Ruth hit his last 3 home runs in Pittsburgh. Boston Braves still lost the game 11-7 to the Pirates.
Wow, 3 home runs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. 1935, legendary U.S. athlete Jesse Owens equaled or braked 4 world records in 45 minutes at a Big Ten meet at Fairfield in Ann Arbor, Michigan, remembered as the greatest 45 minutes ever in sport. From our other source here, it says Jesse Owens of Ohio State University broke 3 world records and tied at 4th at the Big Ten Conference Track and Field Championship in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
That's before he went over to the Olympics and drove Hitler crazy.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, Hitler stormed out of there.
Oh, he was mad.
Of all things, a black man winning it all like that.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Yeah, and Jesse Owens.
Love that guy.
Jesse Owens, one of the greatest names in sports history.
Yeah, track accidents. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Showed the Nazis what for, who the real superior race is.
Yeah.
So, 1937, the first airmail letter to Circle Globe returns to New York. Nobody claimed it. So, a letter just went around the whole planet.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. How many millions of those, now happens?
I don't know.
1941, 5,000 people drowned in a storm at Ganges Delta region in India. Yikes. 1941 as well, Ted Williams raised his batting average over .400 for the first time in 1941. That sounds really good.
Yeah. I don't know if he's the last one to accomplish that. It doesn't say he ended the season with over 400 batting average. It just says he raised it to that.
But this is his
first. I don't know if it lasted.
No, for the first time in 1941.
Oh, okay.
So is this his first time, or is this the first time ever? Anybody's done it.
Saying in 1941 would be for that year. He's done it in other years.
Yeah. Or maybe he's done it multiple times in 41. Anyone who knows more about sports history, let us know in the comments section.
Could have been the first time they did it many times. Could be. I wonder.
Hey RMG, how you doing, man? 1942, the first commercial fluid catalytic cracking facility began production at Exxon, developed by the Four Horsemen research team at Exxon. The process now produces half the world's gasoline.
Ooh.
And that's what this is here,
Yeah,
if you can read the schematic. And I believe this is what a cracking unit is, actually.
I've never heard of it, so I'm totally unfamiliar.
Well, I'm somewhat familiar.
Is it used still currently today? Is how they do this for
the process now produces half the world's gasoline. So
yeah.
Now I'm kind of familiar with this thanks to Foxhole. There are things called cracking units for the oil fields, and you use that to make heavy oil.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's what this is.
Well, what I want to know is how's the other half of gasoline made then?
Well, not like this.
No,
I don't know. 1945, Arthur C. Clarke proposed relay satellites in geosynchronous orbit. So that's what geosynchronous means?
I'm going to find out, I think.
Okay.
What does it mean?
So you know what orbit is.
Yeah, of course.
But geosynchronous is when it locks onto a thing on the planet. This is a surface and this is a satellite, and it rotates with the planet.
And then it never loses.
Like how the moon is tidally locked.
Yeah.
It's one face. It doesn't. Well, it's not really tidally locked, but the moon's rotation is the exact same as the rotation of Earth.
Right.
So as it's spinning, it stays there.
Yeah.
So
I got it.
So that's kind of like geosynchronous. It's so that way we have telecommunications, phone calls, all that jazz. So. 1946, Jordan gained independence from Britain. This is their national day. Abdullah ibn Hussein became king of Jordan. And it says here the Parliament of Transjordan made Abdullah the first of Jordan their emir. All right.
I didn't know it was that new of a country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it gained their independence.
Yeah. Well, that's why I give it credit as a country.
Well, they could be a dependent country, not an independent.
And they were.
Yeah. Well, 1948, Polish war hero Witold Pilecki was executed by communist police after a show trial in Warsaw. May he rest in peace. 1948, San Francisco received its first telecast. Okay.
Telecast of what?
Well, television.
Okay.
Telecast.
Okay. Doesn't matter what, I guess.
Yeah. 1949, the Chinese Red Army occupied Shanghai. Here we go. 1951, this guy, he's
Willie Mays.
Yeah, Willie Mays. It reminds me every time you're looking for your glasses. This photo here. I just can't see. I haven't the foggiest where they went. 1951 New York Giants outfielder Willie Mays, at the age of 20, played his first major league game, an 8-5 win over the Phillies at Shibe Park in Philadelphia. He bats 0 for 5. Is that bad? Or?
That's bad. He
That's
didn't
bad.
get a hit.
Damn.
But he was one of the greatest all-time hitters.
Yeah.
And made the basket catch famous. He was a center fielder.
The basket catch?
Usually you catch a ball like this, he would let it fall and catch it like a basket.
Granny style.
Yeah.
1953, the first atomic cannon electronically fired at Frenchman Flat, Nevada. We have here from our other source, nuclear weapons testing at the Nevada test site. The United States conducted its first and only nuclear artillery test. And I have a video of this, actually, so let me play this. This is incredible.
Shot 10, 25 May, proof-tested another delivery system, the Army's 280-millimeter gun. When this shot was added to the program, some additional effects tests were scheduled to observe results of the low burst height, approximately 520 feet above ground. Since no gun-type assembly had been detonated since the Hiroshima bomb, the weapons development scientists had on this shot their first opportunity to study the nucleonic behavior and fireball configuration of such a device. Yield 15 kilotons. Unlike the situation with an implosion weapon, the scientists were
nuclear artillery.
To observe fireball growth from a body of fissionable material.
You know, we're just lobbing shells, you know?
Like,
I mean, like, remember when we went to go visit the Iowa and they had a nuclear shell option?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think exactly what it was.
Like, they had, like, you know, a picture of all the different shells, like a training shell, blank, you know.
They never,
like,
I don't think they were on board.
Well, yeah, I think they were.
A nuclear shell was on board?
What are they going to do? Go back to port and get them? Like...
Well, I don't know if they were designed to use them. I
mean, just in case.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't forget, you know, 24/7, 365 for what, 10, 15 years? We had bombers with bombs circling the whole world all the time in case something happened. You know?
Well, I guess my point being, so they actually carry nuclear shells on board, is what you're saying.
I would suspect that they did. Well, no, well, I mean, we obviously have had the capability, you know.
Oh, of course we had the capability.
So, yeah.
Look at that film. That's just,
well, but that's what they were planning, putting them on ships, and in case anything happened.
I don't know if they ever did.
But they might have. We had them.
Might have, yeah.
That's why I'm saying we did with the aircraft, so why not with the ships? I don't know. I'm not saying we did or we didn't. I'm just saying, you know, we did with aircraft, so why not have nuclear shells on ships?
Did those aircrafts have nuclear shells on board?
They had bombs, yes.
Bombs are one thing. Nuclear bombs are a different thing.
They're still nuclear weapons.
Not if the shell isn't nuclear.
I'm confused now.
Are they going around with bombs loaded on there and going around the Earth, or are they going around with nuclear bombs?
They're going around with nuclear bombs.
Okay,
the aircraft were going around with nuclear bombs, loaded up, ready to go 24/7, 365.
Okay.
You know, and they were already up in the air for as fast as a response in case anything happened.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So, you know, if we did
that's the case, then probably.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Most likely we had nuclear shells on board these battleships.
Yeah.
So, 1953, first non-commercial educational television station, Houston, Texas. We have the first public television station in the United States officially began broadcasting as KUHT from the campus of the University of Houston. So non-commercial educational television. All right.
Yeah, okay. Now just going back to the nuclear bomb, just an input, 53 or whatever that was, as a kid, whatever the item was. That's why they start teaching us nuclear weapons, duck and cover, like that was going to help anybody.
Here we go. Operation Chrome Dome was a United States Air Force Cold War era mission from 1961 to 1968 in which B-52 strategic bomber aircraft armed with thermonuclear weapons remain on continuous airborne alert, flying routes that put them in positions to attack targets in the Soviet Union if they were ordered to do so.
I never heard that. That was in the 60s.
61 to 68.
Yeah. Wow, I never heard that.
Yeah, we had nuclear weapons in the air ready to go at all times.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But in the 50s, in school, we practiced duck and cover. Get under your desk like that's going to help.
Yeah, because it can melt a city, but your wooden desk is fine.
It's gonna, It's gonna save you.
Yeah.
Great, do that.
1955, a series of 19 twisters destroyed Udall, Kansas, and most of Blackwell, Oklahoma. And we have here in the United States, a nighttime F5 tornado struck the small city of Udall, Kansas, as part of a larger outbreak across the Great Plains, killing 80 and injuring 273. It is the deadliest tornado to ever occur in the state and the 23rd deadliest in the U.S. Yikes.
They had a big one up there this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Oklahoma or not, but yeah. It's devastating.
And 1955 as well, the first ascent of Mount Kangchenjunga on the British Kangchenjunga expedition led by Charles Evans, Joe Brown, and George Band reached the summit of the third highest mountain in the world at 8,586 meters. Norman Hardy and Tony Streicher joined them on the following day. Okay. 1956, Pope Pius the 12th published encyclical Haeretus Aquas. Let's take a look at this holy memo.
What that is.
I don't either. That's why I want to look it up. Encyclical yada yada on devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. It was published yada yada to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the establishment of the Feast of the Sacred Heart. Okay, so it's just a whatever memo. So, and I have other videos. We'll get to those here. 1959, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Louisiana prohibiting black-white boxing unconstitutional.
What? Holy cow. How wrong can the Supreme Court...
No, prohibiting.
Oh.
Rules Louisiana prohibiting black-white boxing unconstitutional.
Prohibiting rules. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So saying it should...
I thought they're saying... Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I gave court 2 T's there. 1961, JFK announced the U.S. goal of putting a man on the moon before the end of the decade. Not because it is easy, but because it is hard.
Yep, I remember that speech.
Yep. I actually have it. I'll play it here in a minute. Apollo program. U.S. President John F. Kennedy announced before a special joint session of the U.S. Congress his goal to initiate a project to put a man on the moon before the end of the decade. Oh, let me play this.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish.
Yep.
That's when we were tit for tat with the Russians.
Oh, yeah.
Space war.
Well, the whole Star Wars thing, well, here's the weird thing about the whole space race and all that stuff. We intentionally held ourselves back to validate more funding. So the whole Red Scare and all that stuff. Well, I mean, like, the Soviets beat us to space with Sputnik. They're the first animal to space, the first man in space, the first woman in space, the first to land a probe on the moon, the first to land a probe on Venus. Yet we land a man on the moon and somehow we magically win because that's how it works for some reason. But no, during all of that, we apparently had locked and loaded, 2 things before Sputnik was even there. We allowed them to beat us to create a public scare to validate more funding. Like, it was all a ploy.
Certainly sounds like something we could do.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's a whole thing. I advise the viewers to look into that stuff. But 1962 here, One Records released the Isley Brothers cover single "Twist and Shout." It became their first top 20 hit, peaking at 17. And I have this song right here. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's probably copywritten.
Twist and shout. Yep.
Yeah. Well, but wait a minute, what?
Oh, what's his name? Fats Domino was the first one that coined the twist.
That's the twist, not Twist and Shout.
I know. But still, that's twist. The twist came out of Fats Domino.
Okay.
And then they
do the twist. Yeah.
Come on, baby.
Come on, baby.
So then they had Twist and Shout.
Yeah. And the Beatles covered it too, apparently. So
they may have.
Well, I looked up Twist and Shout, and the first thing was Beatles, so I had to specifically look up this other guy, Isley Brothers.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I didn't remember their name, but yeah, that song is very prominent in my mind.
1963, Great Britain ended its amateur professional classes in cricket.
Two crickets.
They ended it.
Cricket.
Dad, you should be happy.
Cricket!
You should be happy. It's the end of it. I'm closing a chapter.
It's cricket.
You just hate it no matter what. What are you, a cricketist? A racist against
What
cricket.
kind of ball? What kind of game bounces the ball? First?
Basketball?
Well, no, to the plate though. I mean, play baseball. Don't bounce the ball to the plate.
1963, Organization for African Unity formed by Chad, Mauritania, and Zambia. But we have here from the other source, the Organization of African Unity was established in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. So which is it, Chad or it was Actually, no, it was formed by Chad, Mauritania, and Zambia, but it was established in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
So, 1964, ground was broken for the new Bush Memorial Stadium in St. Louis, opened in 1966 and demolished in 2005.
Jeez.
Wow. We just witnessed a whole life.
I think
You know?
Dodger Stadium, and I remember when that was. Well, I remember when they came here, but now it's one of the older stadiums in the in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Well, this one's gone now. But
yeah,
the other one
the
you're talking
Dodger.
about.
I'm talking about Dodger Stadium.
Oh,
It's now
okay.
I remember when it was built.
The
and
one
now
out
it's one
here?
of the old, yeah.
Okay.
Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
Now you got like Boston is really old with the green giant wall.
The Green
That's-
Monster?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really old.
Yeah.
So there's a few older than that, but most of them are
Yeah.
older than Dodger Stadium now. Holy cow!
Yeah.
How old am I?
Yes.
Bad news. I remember when they came here, they played in the Coliseum, which is a football stadium.
Wow. 1964, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled closing schools to avoid desegregation is unconstitutional. Man, those Democrats will do any underhanded play and hurt a bunch of innocent kids just to avoid, helping other people.
Yeah.
Just disgusting. 1965, Dave Davies of the Kinks was knocked unconscious in an onstage scuffle with drummer Mick Avory at Cardiff Capitol Theatre.
The Kinks. I remember the Kinks.
Ah. Well, I mean, you're old. You get kinks all the time, don't you? Oh.
Still remembering those Kinks, yes.
Yeah. 1966, Peru and Argentina soccer fans fought in Lima. 248 people died. 248 people died over a football game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Died. 1967, John Lennon took delivery of his psychedelically painted Rolls Royce.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's what this
Yeah,
is. That's
yeah.
him and I presume
Yeah.
his son.
Yeah.
But look at that. That's a wild Rolls Royce there.
Yeah.
1968, the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri, was dedicated.
Yeah.
That's a cool picture of it. I like that.
Yeah, your mother was there when they were building it. She
Ah.
lived there.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, mother or mom?
Mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between my
Oh,
birth
yes,
mother
yes,
and
yes. You're right.
you gotta choose your words carefully when talking to me about family.
Not kidding.
I occupy two branches of the family tree simultaneously, man. It doesn't help that I was born in Tennessee. So,
Kind of explains it all. What are you talking about?
my birth mother is my sister, and my half brother is my nephew. Let's see here. 1973, U.S. launched first Skylab crew, Kerwin, Conrad, and Wheats. And that's these people here. So the first Skylab, space station.
Yeah.
Space station,
Yeah.
1973 as well, in protest against the dictatorship in Greece, the captain and crew on Greek naval destroyer Velos mutinied and refused to return to Greece, instead anchoring at Fiumicino, Italy. Wow, a whole ship.
Yeah.
Hell no, we not coming home. So, 97.7, the Brady Bunch Hour last aired on ABC TV. The Brady Brunch Hour. Hey, let's have some brunch with the Bradys. So, 1977, the original Star Wars movie, later called Episode 4 A New Hope, directed by George Lucas and starring Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford, premiered. It says from the other source, Star Wars, retroactively titled Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, was released in New York.
Yeah.
It was in U.S. theaters. And let me play this. Now, I want you to build this up, actually. So tell us what it was like before this scene. Like you went to the theaters,
Yeah.
in 77?
Yeah. Oh, I just went to the theater, and you've heard all about Star Wars. I wasn't out for the new release or anything, but I hadn't seen anything about it. Other than a space movie, but everybody was so in awe of it. I was living in northern Arizona at the time, and I went all the way down to Phoenix to
Wow.
see this thing.
Yeah.
Hour and a half drive or whatever, and do a lot of other stuff too. And then the opening scene blew my mind. I'd never ever seen anything like it ever. Still remember to this day.
Hopefully I
vividly.
don't get a copyright strike for this. But imagine, you're sitting in the theaters, and
This is the opening scene. As you're sitting
and
there, here
sci-fi
it
is
comes.
still like not even really a thing yet. But then this just comes in
Yeah.
over the top of the screen.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Oh,
Man!
yeah.
They're in trouble.
It means nothing now, but in
Run.
the theater, that coming. Oh man.
They're in trouble.
Oh man. Ah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an incredible scene. That's
Yeah.
that's for the ages. 1977, the Chinese government removed a decade-old ban on William Shakespeare's work, effectively ending the Cultural Revolution started in 1966. I had no idea Shakespeare was banned in China, but they hate everything not them, so of course. 1978, the first of a series of bombings orchestrated by the Unabomber was detonated at
geez.
Northwestern University, resulting in minor injuries.
Yeah.
The Unabomber. Oh.
Yeah.
And then just 2 years after Star Wars, on the same date, this is kind of wild, 1979, the horror film Alien, directed by Ridley Scott and starring Sigourney Weaver, was released.
Yeah.
And that's the Star Wars poster, and here we go, Alien.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Another monumental sci-fi work.
Yeah.
Just 2 years later, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
79 as well, Israel began to return Sinai to Egypt. All right. 1979, John Spenkinelink, a convicted murderer, was executed in Florida. He was the first person to be executed in the state after the reintroduction of capital punishment in 1976. Okay. 1981, Daniel Goodwin scaled outside of Chicago's Sears Tower in 7 hours. Still has
Probably arrested.
it might have been a stunt.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So, I mean, let's not forget Suction Cup Man. Remember the guy who he used those big ass suction cups
Yeah,
and climbed
yeah,
Trump
yeah.
Tower and all that stuff?
Yeah.
No,
Was it Trump Tower? he
I
did?
think it was Trump Tower.
Okay.
No. 1981 in Riyadh, the Gulf Cooperation Council was created between Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. And see, like I mentioned this before, that's the city I remember that is the name involves phlegm, Bahrain.
Ah,
You know?
Bahrain,
Yeah. From Jeff Dunham. How do you spell your name? A-C phlegm? Phlegm?
Yeah.
Now here's another Ahmed. 1983, Return of the Jedi, Star Wars Episode 6, produced by George Lucas, was first released. So, 6 years to the day. Kind of
Yeah,
wild. And this
yeah.
is the 6th. So this is the end of that trilogy.
Just saddens me that he sold it to Disney.
Yeah, well, as soon as Disney got their grubby little mitts on that, everything turned to crap, So,
Personal opinion, but
well, no, it's fact. It's a
I'm gonna agree
quantifiable
with you.
fact. So, 1983, first U.S. National Missing Children's Day was proclaimed. Okay, that's an interesting yet sad thing to bring to
Yeah,
reality, but
yeah.
still.
Needed.
Yep. 1985, cyclone ravaged Bangladesh. 11,000 people were killed.
Whoa!
Yeah, from the other source, Bangladesh was hit by a tropical cyclone and a storm surge, which killed approximately 10,000 people. So, 10 to 11,000 dead. Yikes. 1986, a 95-year-old woman scored a hole-in-one in Florida. All right.
How old?
95.
Jeez.
Whoever said that women can't golf,
Was it miniature golf?
give her some credit. Poor lady. 1986 as well, the Hands Across America event took place in which 6.5 million people held hands from California to New York. That's really cool.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. 1989, Eastern Airlines graduated its first class of non-union pilots. Okay. 89, Mikhail Gorbachev was elected executive president in the Soviet Union. It's pretty big right there.
Yeah.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
He was really popular here, but
Oh,
not
here he
so
is.
much at home. Yeah.
Yeah. Good old continent head.
Yeah, they
So-
didn't. Him and Reagan got along real well, but the Russians actually didn't care.
Reagan,
for
a
him.
great movie, by the way.
Oh,
anyone
great movie,
anyone
yeah.
who likes movies,
Yeah.
go see that one. You know?
Yeah.
1991, Israel evacuated 14,000 Ethiopian Jews. Okay? And I just accidentally skipped over this one. 1989, Weird Al Yankovic recorded a parody song, She Drives Like Crazy. she probably does. You know.
Weird Al has no right to be mentioned here.
Why?
I don't care
What?
for him. He's weird.
You don't. Do you have? What do you have against Weird Al?
Nothing. I really don't have anything against him, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm weird.
But I don't think he is on the scale of notoriety to be mentioned in this day in history. That I have nothing against him.
Okay. Well, I'll keep
Do
that
your
in
thing,
mind.
Weird Al.
Yeah. 1992, Jay Leno became the permanent host of U.S. talk show The Tonight Show.
Oh, yeah.
Good old Crimson Chin.
Yeah, now he's left.
Yeah.
He's the old timer.
Yeah. Whatever happened to him? Like last I heard, an engine blew up in his face, in his garage. Remember, he
Some
got
kind of
hospitalized
accident.
and
Yeah.
burnt half his face or whatever.
Oh,
and
I don't know about that part.
yeah,
but I
he
know
was.
he did get injured.
He got hurt. You
Yeah.
know, it wasn't just like an ouchie. It was a hospital. You know, like.
Was it a burn? Was it?
Yeah, like something backfired in an engine and it blew off and half his face got singed.
Wow.
Like,
Well, I heard I remember he was injured in his.
and another actor out.
He loves old cars and he's hands on.
Yeah.
I mean, he has someone taking care of it all, a bunch of people, but he has like a.
a passion of.
Excuse me. Oh yeah, passion. He has a whole room worth millions of dollars just in auto manuals.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that he's collected over the years,
Wow.
so he can work on these cars.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but another actor, person of interest, whatever. I'm curious as to know if he's okay. Whatever his name was, the guy who played Hawkeye. Remember, he got ran over by his snow machine.
Oh, I never.
Like
heard that.
he was
Whatever,
a hands-on guy too.
Yeah.
He was working some kind of like snow plow or whatever, and like he was in front of it and it got out of gear and it ran over his leg or something,
man.
and it chewed him up.
Ooh, no.
Like
never
he's
heard
still
that.
alive, but
Yeah.
but I haven't heard anything if he's okay, if he's going to get back into acting. What happened? Like so. 1992, New York Yankees scored 9 runs before the first out in 8th inning and beat Brewers 13-7. That sounds remarkable.
Yeah.
So, 95, the Bosnian Serb army killed 72 youngsters in the Bosnian city of Tuzla. Yeah.
That was just an ugly, ugly war.
Yeah. Well, all wars are ugly.
Yeah.
But that was ugly on top of ugly.
Yeah, ugly on top of ugly.
1997, Todd Stottlemyre and Mel Stottlemyre became the first father and son to win 100 games in Major League Baseball.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, no kidding.
Father son. We're a team. So,
We're also not in Major League Baseball.
oh, well, we're in history. We're doing our own thing. 1999, the United States House of Representatives released the Cox Report detailing the People's Republic of China's nuclear espionage against the U.S. over the prior 2 decades. Why do we still do business with them?
Yeah.
They prove time and time
Still stealing
again.
our secrets.
They hate us. They think that we're inferior. They do everything they can at every turn to hurt us. Why the ever-living fuck do we work with them? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. 2000, Liberation Day of Lebanon, Israel withdrew its army from most of the Lebanese territory, the exception being the disputed Sheba Farm Zone, after 22 years of its first invasion in 1978, but our secondary source says 18 years after the invasion of 1982. So, which one is it? How many times has Israel invaded people? It seems twice within a 4-year period. So, Israel just gets away with so much. 2001, 32-year-old Eric Wilmeyer of Boulder, Colorado, became the first blind person to reach the summit of Mount Everest in the Himalayas with Dr. Sherman Bull.
Kidding me.
Well, obviously he had help, but still,
Well, sure.
That's pretty cool, And we're going to be talking about another scale of Mount Everest, which you still have, time to achieve,
I can barely get up the hill up here to go up on top of the hills.
Well, we have time
I'm
to
huffing
train.
and puffing.
We have time to train. 2007, the Ostakino Tower in Moscow caught fire for the second time.
Wow.
Okay, well, maybe it's time to stop making it catch fire. What's wrong? This building
Jeez,
here.
look at that thing.
Yeah, well, it's a tower. So.
Yeah. I know. I've never seen it before, though. That's something else.
2008, NASA's Phoenix lander touched down in the Green Valley region of Mars to search for environments suitable for water and microbial life. Pretty cool.
But what did they find? You didn't tell us.
Well, yeah. If anybody, that's a good point. Let us know in the comments section. Do we
That's
have
the
any?
interesting part.
Yeah, it is. 2009, North Korea conducted its second nuclear test while also conducting several missile tests. And from our other source here, North Korea allegedly tested its second nuclear device, after which Pyongyang, or however you pronounce it, also conducted several missile tests, building tensions in the international community. Yeah. So, 2011, Oprah Winfrey, that monster, aired her last show, ending her 25-year run of the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Why do you call her a monster?
Because of her negligence to help the people of Lahaina and Maui.
Oh,
She had all that
okay,
land,
okay.
and she did not accept one, refugee to have a place to sleep. She has all that land, all that space. No,
Okay, you have a reason. That's good.
2012, a SpaceX Dragon became the first commercial spacecraft to dock at the International Space Station. It's pretty big right there. Oh, yeah, here's a picture of that father and son MLB team duo.
Not as good looking as us, obviously. Well, at least the father part of it. You got 50% good.
Bitch, please, I'm ravishing. And here's a blind guy who summited Mount Everest.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Here's looking at you. I'm sorry. Couldn't resist.
And here's a picture of the...
I wouldn't have said it, only he accomplished his goal, so kudos.
Well, I remembered somebody, in the argument against laziness, this guy who doesn't even have legs, because he had, those boingy legs, summited Mount Everest. What's your excuse? My legs get tired. That's my excuse, He has a one-up. That's a very valid argument. Look at the good old Tink Tink, from the Olympics. They had to the guy who ran, who had no legs.
Yeah.
But he has no legs, but he's running in the Olympics, but he has mechanical assistance. Yeah. Is this a story of a hero, or is this a story of somebody, utilizing something, technicalities, and having a mechanical one-up?
Right.
Flesh versus a machine,
Well, the problem is, as technology increases, you could be running possibly 10, 20, 30 miles an hour,
Yeah.
on just mechanical legs.
Yeah.
No machine working, but, you get those springs and everything going. So, it has to have
Once again,
limitations.
my legs get tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and then now we have apparently the steroid Olympics coming out in Vegas next year. Remember, we spoke about that in the news show.
Steroid Olympics.
They were encouraging people to take performance-enhancing drugs to see how far we can hit, how fast we can run, how high we can jump.
Who's they?
And
Who's doing that?
Weren't you here in yesterday's news show?
Yes.
We covered this there.
Why don't I remember it?
I don't know. We were going off about it,
It sounds like I would.
The steroid Olympics in Las Vegas. Here, I'll look this up here really quick. Steroid.
But I don't remember anybody cheering that on to test.
Enhanced Games is a proposal multi-sport event founded by Australian businessman. Yada yada yada. Okay. Performance-enhancing drugs use allowed in new enhanced games set for May of 2026. So it's straight up like performance-enhancing drug-fueled games. So
I think steroids are so bad for
they
you.
are.
I really hate that they're doing anything to promote. People would do anything to get recognition. And oh man, that's
look at Twitter and TikTok and Twitch and Instagram and all this crap.
But
Pinterest.
that's altering your body.
Yeah.
That's chemically building up all your muscle mass. And it's just horrible.
2012, up to 116 people were massacred, including women and children, by the Syrian army in Houlula in the Homs province.
And all I can say is, natural. This is natural.
So is this.
The lack of natural.
I was talking about what's inside.
No, you were. I was segueing. Can't talk.
Thank you for enforcing my point. No. I'm an asshole. 2013, Yoshiro Miura of Japan became the oldest person to climb Mount Everest at 80. You see, this is what I was talking about.
Wow, I got a shot.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you wait another couple of years, you can.
I can beat it.
Yeah. Best get to.
It's not more than a mile, is it?
I think it's a few.
The trail. It's more than a mile.
I'm
gonna really have to work at
it. Slightly. 2017, Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, starring Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, premiered in Los Angeles. The first superhero film directed by a woman. You know, and take this other information with as you will, but it was also a massive flop. So
It was. Oh well.
Yeah.
It doesn't diminish your accomplishment at all, but
well,
to say that it is, we should be a man. What men and women now do. I don't know. I guess
everybody has their
those.
place.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's good she got the gig and she made the movie.
Yeah, that's
sorry
cool.
it was a flop.
Yeah. 2017, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg received an honorary degree from Harvard University after dropping out in 2004. So that just devalues everything about Harvard, on top of everything else.
It's the honor thing that'll never disappear.
Yeah. Well,
a lot of people. What's the comedian, black comedian that's now in jail? He got an honorary degree somewhere.
You talking about Bill Cosby?
Yeah.
I thought we talked about this. I think he's out.
Well, whatever. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I'm just trying to identify him without remembering his name.
Well, speaking of awful people, I'm just speaking of, we were
here
talking
you
about
go.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah,
Speaking
here
of
you
awful
go.
people, 2018
He's
film
in
producer
spades.
Harvey Weinstein turned himself into New York police to face charges of struggle snuggle, criminal sex acts, sex abuse, and sexual misconduct.
He took it
Jeez.
to a new level if it's all true.
Yeah, holy crap.
I don't know.
Yeah. 2018 as well, Ireland voted to repeal the 8th Amendment of their constitution that prohibits abortion in all but a few cases, choosing to replace it with the 36th Amendment of the Constitution of Ireland, which states what?
Yeah,
What does it
tell us.
entail?
Tell us.
Ireland, yeah. Let us know in the comments section. 2018 as well, the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, became enforceable in the European Union. Once again, what does this entail? So, actually, let me look this up here really quick. I know we're approaching our hour, but we're almost done, so we have a little bit of wiggle room. Is a European Union regulation on the information privacy in the European Union and the European Economic Area. It is an important component of the EU privacy law and human rights law. Okay, so 2019, and actually, okay, we got that one. Okay, that's the oldest person right there, the 80-year-old who climbed Mount Everest. Yeah. And 2019, the first ever albino panda footage in the wild released, taken in April from China's Wulong National Nature Reserve. So here, albino panda.
Yeah.
Adorable.
Look at that.
Yeah. And 2020, video of George Floyd's arrest and murder while restrained in Minneapolis police custody shows he was pinned to the ground by police officer Derek Chauvin's knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, ignited widespread condemnation and nationwide protests. And there was so much BS malarkey. His knee was not on his neck, it was on his back between the shoulder blades as per standard police procedure. Yeah. And Chauvin knew this guy personally.
Yeah.
He was known to be a violent, aggressive criminal. He
knew him from the neighborhood.
Yeah, he knew him from the neighborhood. George Floyd held a gun to the belly of a pregnant lady. I mean, Chauvin, the reason why all this happened was because Floyd tried to use a fake $20 bill at a convenience store.
Yeah.
That's why Chauvin was there responding to
They have
a
a clip
crime.
of that. Have you ever seen the clip of him?
I've seen all sorts of clips.
In the convenience store.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I've seen clips all over the place. They conveniently use that angle to make it look like Chauvin's knee is on his neck. No, if you look at other footage, his knee is between the shoulder blades.
Yeah.
So it's all
one
bullshit.
case, and I hope there's not too many of them in our judicial system. He had to go down. There was no question. He had to be found guilty. So it was preordained. And I hope there's not too many of them in this country.
And even if he was found innocent, the FBI already was ready to arrest him on some other BS charge just to ensure, as insurance, that he was going to go down. The guy was screwed. So, 2021, new research showed impact of climate racism. Yes, because nature itself is prejudice. In the U.S., with black people facing double plus 3.112C the amount of heat stress in urban areas. So somehow black people magically get hit more with heat than anybody else. Because that makes sense.
Well,
how the hell can the climate be racist? What?
Yeah.
That's so dumb. Oh.
Yeah. I'm not even going to say anything.
That's dumb. In 2023, Oath Keepers militia founder Stuart Rhodes was sentenced to 18 years in prison for organizing Jan 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol. First person to be sentenced for seditious conspiracy and longest sentence so far. More horse shit. Like the whole J6 thing, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
you know, it's finally coming out that it was all malarkey. You know, like.
Yeah.
And last but not least, 2023, U.S. population aged at its fastest rate for 130 years. Over 65-year-olds grew by a third. 2010 through 2020, median age of a U.S. jumps from 37.2 to 38.8, according to new census figures.
It's
So
not
the
good,
median
we're aging.
age,
Yeah. We're aging, which means we don't have enough
births.
births. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that shall be it for the show today. Please check the underbar of the description below for any links that you may find interesting, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. A lot of history has and continues to be made on a daily basis. We can only bring you a portion. Please check our sources. You know, for your dose of past events daily, we stream at 11 in the morning Pacific time, which is 12 New Mountain, 1 Central, and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. For all of you and all of us, I'm Alexander.
Golden Moon.
And you, viewer, are you. Thank you so much for joining. And until next time, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles! And here's this stream and.